Welcome back to Paraguay. What are all of the reasons to move to Paraguay, and which ones are the best ones and which ones are the worst? That's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be taking the reasons to move to Paraguay and putting them in a tier list. How fun. Everybody loves tier lists, right? Figured I'd hop on the bandwagon somehow. So, as you can see here on my screen, we've got a bunch of different reasons here, 22 to be exact. And we're going to be going through and putting them into our different tiers. We've got S tier. In case you're not familiar with tier lists, S tier is the best, right? And basically, to give you some context, in my opinion, these are either the most life-changing or the most important. A little bit less important. B, a little bit less important. C, even less. And D, either not that important or just not that good in Paraguay. Now, to be honest, all of these things are good. I know any of you guys who watch my channel know that I'm very bullish on Paraguay, but I am very transparent. I try to be as objective as possible, and you're really going to see that in this video, because I'm going to have to take some things that I really do like about Paraguay and put them into some lower tiers. I can't just put everything into S tier and A tier, right? I've got to make this make sense. So I'm going to be really, really picky with what I put in S tier. And then some of the things that I put in the lower tiers, I probably still think are good in Paraguay, but just not as good or just not as impactful or even just not as important of a reason to move to a country to begin with, right? So yeah, let's dive right in. Before we get started, let's connect on Instagram at EstebanExpat. Feel free to reach out to me there. Let me know if you have any other ideas, either there on Instagram or in the comments. I decided to get a little bit more creative with this tier list. What do you want to see? What do you think would help you for your move to Paraguay, or if you're already here in Paraguay, what do you think would make you enjoy this place more? If you want to talk one-on-one, visit the link in the description, thegentexpat.com, and you can book a call there, and I'll help you out with anything and everything. So let's get started. Here, start with this one. Wow, what a start. What a start. Taxes. I got these in a random order pretty much, but taxes is a big one. A lot of people, when they think of Paraguay, they think of that one country in Latin America with low taxes. It's good. It's good. It really is good. This is where my personal preference comes into play. It's yes, is Paraguay probably the best tax structure in South America? Yes. Is it a reason why you should move to a country in and of itself? No. In my opinion, no. If you are just coming to Paraguay because you want to pay less in taxes and you think, oh shoot, I don't really want to come to Paraguay anyways, but Uncle Sam is charging me too much. I guess for us it doesn't even apply as much. Whatever your local tax authority is charging me too much, so I'm just gonna suck it up and live in Paraguay just to not pay taxes. Nah, don't do that. There's other ways you can set up your finances to get some savings. And we'll get to that when it comes to the residency later on, without having to be here all the time. And this video is for reasons to move here. So I'm going to put taxes in B tier. Again, the tax setup is great. It's a very good place to pay less in taxes. However, I think in the grand scheme of your life, right, and what you actually value, you should be thinking deeper than just your taxes. Next, self-improvement. This is a good one. Paraguay is a great place to focus on self-improvement. It's a great place to just lock in. A lot of people come here for that reason. In fact, when I first came here, it really was for that reason. I was switching jobs at the time, online jobs, and I thought, dang man, where can I go to just focus and not be distracted and keep my expenses low? We'll get to cost in a little bit. And just make this transition as smooth as possible. And Paraguay was super, super helpful for that. Things here are convenient. Wi-Fi speeds are fast. There's access to nice, or modest but nice apartments like this one, where you can have your desk and you can go to your gym. We'll talk about gyms here later as well. And just do your thing, man. And just do your thing and focus on you. So I'm going to put this one in A tier. For S tier, we're talking basically like a monastery, essentially, somewhere that's even less distracting. Because once you get here and you start to find your way around this place, you will find some distractions, and then you'll have to have a little bit more discipline to know how to deal with them. Watch my video on why people who say Paraguay is boring are wrong. after this to find out what I mean by that. But when you first get here to start off, you're not going to know anyone. Take advantage, lock in. Business. Here's another good one. Business, I'm going to go ahead and just drop it. I'm going to put it in B tier. Reason being, Paraguay is a very entrepreneurially friendly environment right now. It's a great place to take an idea that you have and just turn it into something for foreigners and locals alike. There's a lot of growth. The middle class is growing, the economy is growing, and it's a good place to do business. Watch my video on why things just happen, why stuff just happens here in Paraguay, to find out what I mean by like that energy and that ability that people have to just like get things off the ground here. So in that sense, it's really good. However, reason why I don't have it in S tier or A tier is because from an efficiency standpoint, it's lacking. Now it completely makes sense. Like I can't knock Paraguay for it, just with the stage it is in its development. There's gonna be some headaches that you're gonna have to overcome. There's gonna be some bureaucracy that you're gonna have to navigate. You're gonna have to shake the right hands. You're gonna have to know the right people to like really get the edge. But once you get it, you will succeed. However, in other countries that might be more developed economically, where they have more guardrails in place to where you can just not have to worry about any of that extra stuff and just execute, then you can be a little bit more streamlined, but there's more saturation, there's more competition, and you need more capital, and it's harder. So it's like, that's why I put it in B tier. It's thriving, it's a great place to make things happen, but you gotta you gotta dodge the punches as they come, and you gotta get creative, and that part can be kind of a headache. So that's why I put it in B tier. Investment. A tier. It's a great place to invest. This kind of goes hand in hand in business, which is why I actually intentionally put them here together back to back. Investment, it is a place where if you invest your money wisely, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Real estate is an obvious one. If you want help doing that, reach out to me directly. I can help you find a good vetted property. Bonds are doing well. Just investing into businesses is a good way to, investing directly into businesses here is a way that you can get a good return if you play it right. Investing into land is another way that some people are getting some pretty crazy returns, again, if they play it right. And over the long run, it's pretty guaranteed that investments will do, I gotta be careful what I say here. It's like, they will do well on a global scale. When you compare them to a lot of other countries, on average, your investments are going to be doing well. Now, it's not to say that you can't get absolutely screwed if you make the wrong investment, because you definitely can. That goes back to like the dodginess that I mentioned when it comes to business. That doesn't mean that you can't make a bad investment that just doesn't perform well, but I think your odds of success here are higher, because in general, it's not just an influx of foreigners that you're seeing here in Paraguay. It's in a country as a whole that has a young population, a growing middle class, abundant and relatively affordable access to fertile land, abundant access to energy with the Itaipu Dam. What else? Lack of regulation, right? This also kind of goes hand in hand with business. There's all these intangible variables that you cannot take away from this country, even if you removed all of the arrival of foreigners. Even if you completely terminated the residency program, for example, these things will not change. The country is developing regardless of whether or not we are here. So that's why I put investment in A tier. S tier would be crazy high returns with less risk of messing up. But again, that's the price you pay. There's a give and a take when being in a country at this stage of development. Okay, these four were pretty big. I'm gonna move to these next ones a little bit quicker. Parties, C tier. Reason being is because the only good parties in Asunción are mine. Every other party is so boring that you're gonna wanna get on the plane and fly back to your home country as soon as you leave the party. Unless it's my party. Just kidding. If you want to come to some cool parties and cool networking events, hit me up on Instagram or book a consultation call, and I'm happy to help you get connected if you're a cool guy. But no, the honest answer is the party scene is there, but it's not like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun. I've said it in my Why Asunción is Not Boring video It's there. Like, it's plenty to keep you entertained on a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday, or a Thursday, a Friday, and a Saturday, but it's not like Monday to Monday, you know what I mean? It's not Rio de Janeiro, it's not Buenos Aires, it's not Medellin, Colombia. Those would be higher up on the list. But it's, to me, it's enough. Unless you're like an absolute party fiend, in which case, like, just don't come to Paraguay. Nature. Oh, this one hurts. C tier. I'm gonna have to put it in C tier. Nature here is beautiful, man. There's the lake, there's El Rio Paraguay. As you go out of Asunción, you enter the Rift Valley, where you have, your cerros, which here cerro is the most common description for mountain. I say mountain in air quotes because they're not that tall, but they're there. And you can go hiking on those. There's some beautiful, incredible hikes I've been on. Just some nice, cool, chill vibes. If you want recommendations for like nice like day trip spots where you can rent like a cabin, like a cabaña se dice, is what it's called. Like a cabin or like a cottage house, or just like a nice, spot, hit me up. I can help you find some cool stuff. They're starting to do like techno sets out there in Paraguay. I know of a couple DJs that play out there with the mountains in the background. It's sick. But that's about it. Now, if you go into the interior of the country, you have Encarnacion, you have the rest. I'm trying to think of other examples. Villarrica, I've heard, is very beautiful. I haven't been. Even in El Chaco, there's some cool stuff to see. But in the grand scheme of things, like, again, comparing Paraguay to other countries, it's pretty boring. It's enough. It's kind of like parties, which, is also in C tier. It's enough. Unless you're like an absolute nature fiend, just like with the parties. Then don't come to Paraguay. Go to Argentina, go to Chile, go to Colombia even, I would argue, is more beautiful. Definitely. Brazil, Puerto Rico, like there's places that have more beautiful nature, but here, it's enough. Future. Need I say more? I mean, this will probably be the number one thing in the S tier. It's everything. This goes back to what I said with investment. This goes back to what I said with shit just like happening. The future is bright for foreigners and locals alike, and you can feel it here. You can feel it here. You can feel it in the conversations you're having with people, in the energy in the air, in the changes that you see infrastructurally, little by little. Like, I know this place isn't perfect. This place has a lot of room to grow, but it's happening, man. And that's such a breath of fresh air when you compare it to a lot of the countries that we might be coming from. I'm from the United States. You might be from Western Europe. You might be from Canada, right? Where it's like future. No, like the future does not look good in a lot of examples. Again, it's all relative, right? Everybody has their preferences, right? Everybody wants different things out of life, but here it's hard to put into words. Watch my video on why stuff just happens here in Paraguay to get a better idea of that as well. I went a lot into that topic, but yeah, like deep down, like the real reason why I stay here, the real reason why I make these videos is because of the future that I see in this country. And I know that those of us who are here now are getting in early on something that's going to be really good. S tier. Cost. When I got here, A tier. Right now, with the value of the dollar, B tier. I know Paraguay is supposed to be cheap. I've now made 2 cost of living videos, one where I spent more and one where I spent less. Very, very thorough, very good videos to watch if you want to get an idea as to what the cost of living is here. This is twofold. My answer here is twofold. On one hand, yes, this is a quite affordable country when you compare it to Western destinations. Is it affordable compared to Bolivia, Vietnam, Cambodia, etc.? Yes and no. Like, in some instances, yes. In other instances, it's more expensive for sure. So it's not like, complete like bottom of the barrel, most affordable country you can go to, by no means. But it's a nice breath of fresh air. You can easily find yourself spending less than half of what you spent in your home country if you play things right. However, the dollar is down, man. It's down around 6,200. When I got here, it was closer to 8,000. And that makes a difference. It's not that big of a difference, like in the grand scheme of things, but you can feel it. And also another reason why I have this in B instead of higher up is because it's also another one of those things, kind of like taxes. At the end of the day, it goes back to money. It's funny, like we have taxes, business, and cost all in one tier. Pretty fitting. Sure, it's like, okay, you can spend $2,000 a month here in this country, or you can spend $1,500 in this other country, or you can spend $2,500 in this other country. Like, what do you value? Like, what do you want out of your life? Like, saving an extra few $100 is great, but the differences I don't think are that drastic between even Argentina, for example, which is on the higher end, compared to here, or compared to Bolivia, which is cheaper than here. Like, it's like, what do you find important? Find a way to make a bit more money if you absolutely have to, and go where you can enjoy your life best. The cost is just a nice bonus. Residency, man. Should we put it in D tier? Just kidding. I'll go A. Yeah, residency here is good. It's one of the few countries in the world where you can get your residency without very many requirements aside from just the basic documentation, right? Apostilled background check, apostilled birth certificate, passport. Your background check should be clean. Your birth and recent. Birth certificate is straightforward. Passport, you go through the process. The process is improving, which is I think a reason why I put this in A. The process is getting better. It's getting more streamlined. It's getting more efficient little by little. The requirements are subject to change. That's another thing that's like, bro, get in now while you can. Get your residency, get your cedula now while it's easy, because it's not a given that's going to be that way forever. But yeah, it's very unique to Paraguay. There's not many other countries in the world that have it this way. I personally am not a fan of like people coming here just to get their residency and not contributing to the country at all. But I get it. Like I understand why they do it. It's funny if sometimes if I'm at an event and I'm like, hey man, like, how long you been here? Oh, I've been here for 2 days. Oh, when do you leave? In 2 days. It's like, okay, you're here for 4 days. Let me guess. You got your residency? He's like, yeah, I was just checking it out. Like, I hired some agency and like I just came by to like do the papers and leave. It's like, come on, man. Like, at least stay for a month. At least, check it out a little bit more and see if you might someday want to actually be a resident with that residency. But anyways, I still have an A tier. If you want a good contact for residency, reach out to me. I've got a good trusted contact that does a good business, and I can also help you do it yourself if you want to do it yourself. Next, traditional values. I'll put this in B. I think the traditional values hype here can be a little bit overstated. It's definitely there. It's definitely there. Like, when you compare it to, really developed places like, the United States, Western Europe, Canada, Australia, even developed places in East Asia, for example, there's a stark difference, but it's not like, whoa, like night and day, excuse me, where culturally you feel like you're in like the 1950s. It's another one of the things that's just like a breath of fresh air. I really, really do like it. I appreciate it, but it's not like, whoa, holy crap, like this is a completely different fabric of society. They still consume the same social media. They still receive a lot of influence from the greater powers that be, for better or for worse. But it's there, B tier. Location, A tier. This is another thing that you can't take away from Paraguay. Another thing that's going for it, that will continue to attract people and continue to attract business and commerce for years to come, regardless of stuff like residency and taxes. Paraguay is very well located in the heart of South America. They literally call it the heart of South America because the country is kind of shaped like a heart, and it's in a great position. The airport is still needs improvement. So to fully have it as like an international flight hub, it's years away from that. However, you are one, what's the term? Why am I forgetting? Layover? That's what it's called? Why the hell am I forgetting? Layover, yes, a layover. Away from pretty much anywhere you need to go. For example, if you're going to North America, you can stop in Panama, you can stop in Bogota, you can stop in Lima, you can stop in Sao Paulo. Most people do Panama or Bogota if you're going to the US. If you are going to Europe, there is a direct flight from Asunción to Madrid, Spain. And then from Madrid, you go to the rest of Europe. So it's like, sure, if you want to fly direct from Asunción to JFK, you're not going to get there, right? There is no flight from Asunción to New York. There is an Asunción to Miami flight in the works. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to come out yet. I don't think it's exactly defined yet, but apparently we are going to get an Asunción to Miami flight here soon. So that's what I would need to put it in S tier, is its physical location, which already moves it to A tier, plus even more connectivity from an airport standpoint. But already it's really, for the future, the location is going to play a huge role, and it's very well placed. Freedom, S tier. This is one of those things where freedom, to me, freedom in general is just so important. And I think to a lot of you guys it is too. Now, freedom, I say freedom in a lot of, you can define freedom a lot of different ways. I don't want you to think of freedom as just ability to escape the law. To me, that's just not what actually matters, right? Like, breaking laws isn't even that valuable, nor is it something that you should do. Don't come here and break laws. You will get caught, and you will get kicked out, and they won't give a crap about you, and you'll never come back. So it's not about laws. It's about just this goes back to like being able to do things here, just the ability to get things started and do things and make things happen, and not be bothered, and a society where people comparatively trust each other. It's a high trust society, again, comparatively to a lot of other ones. You can buy your plot of land for a relatively affordable price. You can build whatever you want on it without having to pull permits. There are some exceptions if you're in urban areas, but for the most part, if you're, even just a little bit out of the city, bro, that's your land. That's your little Minecraft world. Like, you have the Minecraft world, and you have your whole inventory, and you can put any block on the land that you have. You can build your little house. You can build whatever you want in the backyard. You don't have to worry about permits and just red tape and regulation when it comes to stuff like that. For businesses, there's less regulation. Again, that's for better or for worse. But you can just make things happen. You can cross the street if there's no cars coming, right? You're not gonna get a fine for jaywalking. You can have a beer in your hands on a sidewalk, right? It's like random little stuff like that. And you add all those things together, and the product of all of those little bits of extra freedom just results in that's how I would describe it. Coming from the US, in my instance, I just felt like a nice yes. And that's worth so much. Like, that sense of peace is so important. Again, don't abuse it, don't break laws, but live your life. And here's a place where you can live your life, and you're going to be surrounded by a lot of other people who want to live their lives as well. Safety. B for a couple of reasons. Let me take a sip of my tereré. Now, it's late. In case you haven't noticed, I'm wearing blue light glasses. And bro, I'm going to make a video soon on a tereré guide for foreigners, so you guys can know exactly what this stuff is and how freaking life-changing it is. From a habitual standpoint, from a health standpoint. So I have lemon juice in my water, which is good for hydration. And then this is almost pure chamomile or manzanilla. So it's late right now, so I don't want to drink yerba because yerba mate has caffeine. So this is a nice, relaxing, nighttime version of tereré. And it tastes so good, man. Safety. Paraguay, for Latin American standards, is extremely safe. For Latin American standards. For international standards, excluding war zones, it's pretty safe. There are some parts where it can be dodgy. You can get your phone stolen by a guy on a motorcycle if you're like really, really uncareful, but it's still not that common compared to other countries. So I definitely say it's pretty dang safe. But it's not like Dubai level or Singapore or what's another example of an extreme, a small Midwestern town in the US where everyone knows each other, right? Like it's not like that. Want to know something? Recently, I was on a trip to Brazil with Paraguayans. There was 4 of us, myself and 3 Paraguayans. And we were staying in an Airbnb together, and they kept on leaving the front door open. And it was nice. We left the windows open so the air would come in and, the breeze would come in and cool down the space. But my brain, well, I'm from Atlanta, like, you can't leave the front door open. I would close the door, and then I noticed the next day it was open again, and I would close the door, and the next day, and I said, guys, like, why is the front door always open? They're like, dude, and because these 3, they're not from Asuncion, they're from outside of Asuncion. They're like, dude, like, where we're from, that's just what we do. We just leave the front door open a lot of the time. Whenever it's hot, just leave the front door open. Why not? And in my mind, I'm like, wow. I literally told them, I was like, I fucking love that. Even though in my mind, I was the upset one for seeing this front door open, I was like, I fucking love that. You guys just leave the door open because culturally, in these parts where they're from, which is not even that far outside of Asuncion, people know each other. Stuff doesn't really go down. Now at night, I'm sure they close the door at night. But during the day, it's fine. They leave the front door open. But that's indicative of not just the fact that the door is open, but it's indicative of an overall like mindset that the homeowner is in, or in this case, like my friend's parents growing up were in when they made the decision to leave the door open, because they just felt more safe. So why it's in B tier is because I think safety is an overrated reason to consider a country. Like, if you're smart, you'll be fine. Don't go to somewhere super, super dangerous, but I think a lot of people will think, oh, there is an ounce of danger, I will no longer come to this country because of that. I read this one article of this one gringo who got scoped, I will no longer move to Colombia because of that. I say it all the time, Paraguay is a much safer place than Colombia, and it can be a reason to prefer coming to Paraguay as opposed to Colombia, but for you to completely axe Colombia off of your list just because of a couple horror stories is stupid. So that's why I put it in B tier, because it's not that important to me, because in general, like, you're gonna be fine pretty much everywhere you go, unless you're just being stupid, and don't be stupid. So I spent a lot of time on that, but it's an important topic. Weather. I'm torn between C and B. I'll go B. Paraguay is hot. Yeah, it's not that bad. Now keep in mind, I speak from a privileged position. I am a Puerto Rican American who grew up mostly in Atlanta, Georgia. Those are 2 very hot places, Puerto Rico and Atlanta. So that's like where I was. That's like my programming, my thermodynamic programming came from the South. So it's like I'm used to this. But even then, like, you'll get up to like 90 degrees, 92 degrees. I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell you Celsius. I don't know Celsius. Call me ignorant for that, but I just don't manage it yet. Now, what is that? 35? 38? 40? Yeah, that's what you'll get up to on the hot days. And aside from that, you're looking at 85, 87. Now, can you crack 100? Some days you will. But it's one of those things where it's like, what percentage of your time will you be spending outside anyways? This kind of goes back to nature. Like, if you're like a really nature fiend and you love like being outside all the time, then maybe don't come here during the summer. But outside of that, like, it's fine. It also rains a good bit. That part I don't like, especially now, like in April and May, it's been raining a good bit. But it's all right. If you're from somewhere that's cold, well, this is S tier. If you're from somewhere that's hot, it's exactly what you're used to. So yeah, it's not like perfect. It's not LA. It's not like Medellin, but it's doable. People. Boom. I'll put that number 2 in S tier. It's just like with the future. It's just like, what? Like, need I say more? I've talked about this on my channel a lot. Man, the people, they're great. The locals are great. The culture is welcoming. It's friendly. It's rich. It's a culturally rich culture. They're nice. You feel welcome, and you just feel like in place. You feel at home here, thanks to them. There are some cultural customs that they have that I'm not a big fan of. I'll probably make a video on that. But for the most part, yeah, I love the locals. The foreigners, there's enough filters here to keep out like foreigners that just aren't here for good reasons. For the most part, people here are here for good reasons. They want to be here for a while. They want to focus on self-improvement. They want to focus on the future. They want to be somewhere with traditional values. They want to eat healthy food. I'll get to that in a little bit, right? They want to start an online business and like just lock in and network with like-minded people. And like, for me, like the events that I've been able to do, I've had as much as like 80 people on a rooftop, and everyone is having a good time. And in the grand scheme of things, I haven't been here for that long. I've been here for a while now, but not that long. Like I shouldn't have been able to build such an extensive network so fast. Now, keep in mind, I'm a very extroverted person. I'm a good networker, so like I'm not going to discredit myself, but like I feel like in other countries, I wouldn't have gotten so far so quickly. And that's just me personally. Again, hit me up or book a consult if you want to get plugged in. But yeah, the community is just, it gels well together. And you can get a good mix of locals and foreigners in a lot of different environments. It's not just like, there are some, but there's not it's not like a stark divide between like the gringos who do their thing and never assimilate with the locals and the locals who hate the gringos. Like, we don't have that. And it's up to us to maintain that, right? Maintain we gotta be good here so that way they don't start hating us and we don't start separating ourselves. But it's a good blend. And yeah, it's a great place to make friends. Like, I'm not gonna keep rambling here. S tier. Beach, lol. I mean, I honestly kind of just put this one for fun. There's no beach. That's it. But yeah, not only is there no beach, two, beaches are overrated. Beaches are overrated. Bro, okay, seeing the water is nice. Hearing the waves is nice. Smelling the saline air is nice. But getting in the water and going to the beach is kind of a pain in the butt, dude. You go and you sit in the sand for a little bit. Like, there's a billion places you can go sit, but you choose to sit in the sand by the water. You get full of sand in your trunks. You might get sunburned. Like, it's nice, but I think it's a vacation thing. It's not necessarily somewhere that you should be like, oh, I want to live, unless you surf. Like, I think if you say, oh, I have to live by the water, unless you surf, or like maybe you have a crap ton of money and you're retired and like you don't have to actually focus on other things that like progress your life, and you can literally just kick your feet up on a beach, like the meme of like the guy on the laptop on a beach, and you can just be like 10% as productive as you would be at a desk by working at the beach, then it's not a real reason to go live somewhere, in my opinion. Like, go here and be in a very good location, and then go to Brazil, go to Argentina, go to Colombia, go to those beaches. But it's D tier because, one, there is no beach. Encarnacion doesn't count. I'm sorry, no, it doesn't count. And two, beaches are overrated. Next, food. And you're gonna notice I have food and diet next to each other. Why? I want to separate food being local Paraguayan food and diet being your ability to optimize your diet. Food, B is getting crowded here. I might redistribute some of these at the end. Food I'm gonna put in B. Paraguayan food is pretty dang good. It's not the best ever. There's some things that could be cleaner. They cook in a lot of seed oils. Some things are just unnecessarily fatty or sugary. But outside of that, it's pretty darn good, man. you know, like just Paraguayan asado, you can start with that, right? Just the way they cook their meats, the meats that they have, great. Milanesa, great. Fried cedos probably, but whatever. Sopa paraguaya, it's not soup, it's more of like a bread. Tastes great. Tortilla, incredible. What else? What else? Empanadas here are good. Lomito árabe. Asadito. God damn, I love asadito. It's like steak on a skewer. So it's pretty good. However, it could be better. Like there's other cuisines that I might prefer over Paraguayan cuisine. And again, the health component, it's not fully like I think the average Paraguayan meal, especially here, what I'm really considering is the average Paraguayan cuisine that you are going to eat on the street or like at a restaurant. Because sure, like you can find a Paraguayan girlfriend who cooks delicious Paraguayan food. Shout out to mine who does, and I can tell her not to cook in seed oils, but you got to get there first. Or you can go to the restaurant and ask them to change out the menu. But in general, like if you just order a plate, you might run into some particular items or particular preparation methods that you're going to have to optimize, like really max out there. But from a taste standpoint, super good, super good. Could be a little bit more flavorful. Sometimes things are a bit bland. It's another reason why it's in B. But overall, like I like food. I like the food here. Diet's A tier. So diet's a tier above. Why? Because this goes beyond just your typical culturally Paraguayan plate of food. And now what we're talking about is the ability for you to optimize your diet, i.e., what can you buy at the grocery store or what can you order at restaurants once you know what you're doing and once you know what you like? What can you tell your Paraguayan girlfriend to cook for you, right? In the long run, how can you take care of your body from a nutrient perspective while living here? The meat, I mean, so good. So much easier, abundant access to grass-fed, grass-finished meats at a much more affordable price than many of our home countries. And in my opinion, red meat is the foundation of any healthy diet. That's up to your personal interpretation. That's just my preference. I think that red meat is what you build everything else around, right? What meat am I going to eat? Am I going to eat beef de chorizo, ojo de beef, costilla, ground beef, right? Am I going to want to, how am I going to prepare it? Am I going to put it in the pot? Am I going to air fry it? Am I going to put it in the stove? And then I decide this: rice, pasta, eggs. Am I going to make a sandwich? Like that stuff comes second. But the foundation, which is the red meat, which is their protein source, which is arguably the most important macro. They're all important, but like the one you really want to control is your protein, especially if you're a young guy who goes to the gym like me. Your protein source is good, it's healthy, it's affordable, it's accessible, it's abundant. Another thing that you can't take away from Paraguayan's future, access to fertile land means access to grazing land for cows. The cow availability does go up and down over time, but you're not going to run into a meat shortage here. You know what I mean? Like it might go down a bit and the prices might go up a little bit, but it's something that in the long run you're well positioned if you live here and you eat clean, healthy red meat for years and years, and exercise to go along with it. That brings up exercise. C tier for exercise. Now, why? It's a good place to go to the gym. There's a couple good fighting gyms. There's a couple good CrossFit gyms. There's Pilates, there's yoga. I'm not too familiar with either of those. You'd have to ask a girl, especially for Pilates. Yoga's good for guys. I need to get into yoga. Beyond that, no. Now again, I've been able to stay fit here, right? I go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week at least, and I love my gym. But there's not like a crazy access to like really nice gyms. My gym doesn't have a sauna. To my knowledge, the only public gym I know of that does is Zona Fit at Paseo La Galeria. Beyond that, even Premier Fitness, which is one of the most highly regarded gyms, does not have a sauna. Steam room, forget it. Towel service, forget it. So it's like those like first world gym amenities you're just not gonna find here. Running is another thing. Asunción is not a good city for avid runners, unfortunately. Parque Niuazu is a good place to go get your miles in. Parque de la Salud as well, but you're going to be doing 1,000,000 laps if you run any real distance. La Costanera is a good place to run. That's about it. At least in Asuncion. And I can imagine in other cities it's not that much better from a ample access to trails perspective. So yeah, again, it's a good place to focus on self-improvement. It's a good place to eat well. It's a good place to exercise, to go do your lifts, go out and go on a walk and get some sunlight. But if you are like training for an Ironman, nah, don't do that here. If you want the best access to the best trainers and just the best, kinesiology, not here. That's why I put it in C tier. Dating, A tier. Dating is A tier. Why? It's a good place to do it. Now keep in mind, in this I'm gonna include a lot of my own personal bias. If you do not speak a lick of Spanish, you can put it in C tier for your personal tier list. If I didn't speak any Spanish, it'd be here. If not even here, to be frank. English proficiency is not that high. Now you will meet some girls that do speak English. I watch my video on how important it is to speak Spanish in Paraguay. You will meet some girls that speak English, but in general, you have to be at least conversational enough in Spanish to have the entire, dating marketplace open up to you. And I mean, if you're a woman by chance, then vice versa also applies. But once you do, I think it is a very good place to meet someone who is relationship focused, to meet someone that might have some of these traditional values that you like. And generally, dating here comes with a lack of unnecessary low IQ toxicity that unfortunately is quite prevalent in a lot of Latin cultures. It's still here, yes, it is still here, but compared to Latin America, it is a lesser degree of that. And that alone is very important because you can come and date and find someone and have a pretty stable, peaceful asset to your life in that relationship, as opposed to an emotional roller coaster, which again, you can find it, you can definitely find it, but you're not going to be at risk of creating that as much as you would in other Latin cultures. And I like that a lot. And also, Paraguayan girls are beautiful. Paraguayan girls are beautiful. Where would I put them? Maybe we could, that'd be a whole another video. I probably won't do that. That's not my focus. I wouldn't make a video on that necessarily, but if we were to put them, I would probably put them on A tier. Like if we were to rank all of Latin America, that'd probably be A tier in beauty. Not S, but A. Very beautiful people. Again, it's a spectrum, but yeah, all in all, it's a good place to have a relationship that is an asset to your life and potentially work towards having a family. Next, S tier. S tier. Family is S tier. Bro, get here, go to Shopping Mariscal on a Sunday or a Friday afternoon and just go to the food court. Go to the food court at Shopping Mariscal on a Sunday. Especially if you're from the US, you're from Western Europe, you're from a place where family values just aren't that strong anymore. You will go to that food court and you will look around and be like, wow, look at this. It almost gives me chills thinking about it. When I first saw that food court, now, of course, there's a million examples. It's not just that food court, but I'm just using the food court as like a microcosm for what is family values here. There's a little play place. There's like a little mini playground in the middle of it. Just so many families, so many little kids. And they're just having a good time. Yeah, the kids are screaming, whatever. They're just doing their thing. You'll see at that same food court, you'll go to a restaurant and you'll see 3 or 4 generations at one table. Grandpa, or even great-grandpa, grandpa, dad, son. Grandpa, dad, son, baby, right? Newborn baby of the son. Son's like 25, dad is like 50, grandpa 75, baby is 1. You'll see that often. Man, that's another thing that like money can't buy, right? That's another thing that you can't take away from this place. That's another thing that just gives a different energy to the air that is gone in many of our home countries. And if it's a place where you want to have a family, it's a great place to do it. Some of my subscribers, you guys know who you are. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. Have moved their entire families here and have told me about it, and I've given them advice along the way, and they like it. Like they see that energy here. There's good schooling if you have a little bit of money. If you're relying on public education, it's not that great, but private schooling is quite affordable. Your kids are going to be taught good traditional sane values. They're going to learn to play sports, especially soccer or volleyball, handball, very popular. Yeah, there's kids walking around. You don't hear of a lot of like crazy stuff like kidnapping or like, I don't even want to get into other examples of like bad things that happen with the youth in some of our home countries where you hear about this stuff on the news like often or like too often. Like here, it's not as common, right? And yeah, if you're somebody who's thinking like, where can I set up to eventually find the partner to have the family? I haven't been to all over South America, but from my limited but not that limited understanding, I would argue this is the best country in Latin America to do that right now. With everything else considering all else too, right? You can have your family, you can get your little house, you can have your land, you can build what you want it, you can have your freedom, you can put healthy food in their mouths. You can put healthy information in their brain, and their teachers will, for the most part, do that as well. And it's a great place. It's a great place to just build a family. So yeah, and a part of the reason why I put it in S tier is not only because it's such a good place for family, but also because I just think that's something extremely important. Whether you're someone younger like me who sees that more of a long-term thing, that's kind of on the far horizon, or maybe you are already in that part of your life, either way, regardless of what age you are, I think you should have at least your third eye open for where to eventually plant yourself to have that family. Also, another reason to get this now while you can, the residency, because that might change that. And you might see Paraguay as a place where, I would love to have a family there one day, but I'm going to run it up in Buenos Aires for now. I'm going to run it up in Bali for now. Fine, you can do that. Get your residency now, and then have it handy when that time comes. So yeah, family, S tier. Escape World War III, this is a funny one to end off on. Right into D tier. LOL, dude, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The powers that be are too organized. That's my personal opinion. I'm not gonna go too much deeper than that. It's not gonna happen. New York is not gonna get nuked. London is not gonna get nuked. You're gonna be fine. So for me, it's more of a peace of mind thing. But even I don't care. I know that's not gonna happen. There are other things, bad things that will happen in those countries. Nukes aren't one of them. Getting drafted. Oh, well, I'm gonna get drafted. No, you're not. No, you're not. Wars aren't fought with hundreds of thousands of men in trenches anymore. Wars are fought with missiles and planes and cyber warfare and things that require very little human input. You as a US citizen aren't going to find yourself in the Middle East in 5 years because you didn't renounce your citizenship. It'll be fine. So it's like, but a lot of people do say this. It's like, where would I go to escape World War III? Paraguay. Yes, it's a fucking incredible place to escape World War III if it happened, but it's not going to happen, so that's why I put it in D tier. So that's it. That is my tier list. I thought I might reshake out some of these, but honestly, I think we're good. We've got a healthy middle tier, and then we've got some stuff on the periphery. Let me know. What did I forget? Is there any other item that I should have put on here that I didn't? How would you organize this? Is there anything that you look at and you're like, bro, wrong? Like, what am I dead wrong about? Please let me know. Any other ideas, hit me up. Book a consult, thegenzexpat.com, and leave a comment down below as to what you think the next video should be. And I'll see you here Asunción, Paraguay, yet again, very soon. Ciao, ciao.